Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome to I don't know what this is going to be titled. Maybe 1998 documents. Uh, uh, this is going to involve mostly about what's coming up because I'm trying. I I would say I'm trying to prepare people, and but I don't know if people are going to listen because I'm on a different frequency right now, and I'm trying to get people to that frequency so that we can get to the good timeline. So I'm going to do a little bit of a review with a peer review paper that showed the future, and then I'm going to share some video clips, and I might pause it to kind of give more detail of two different times that I was on Brian Eskow's podcast about things that are coming up. Um, and it mostly has to do with me being wrong at a certain time, but I corrected that self, and oh man, I've come to so many realizations now that it's almost mind blowing. Um, but when we get into everything, I'll go over it. So let's go ahead and get this party started. And the following is a gesture production. Alright, so I just wanted to bring this document up real fast. Um, so the main reason I'm going over this document again real fast is because I want to remind everybody what the Democrat plan was. Now, if you want to go into more depth analysis of this, I would suggest my BRICS Part 4 and my BRICS Part 35, because I do this twice when I start coming to some conclusions. Now you see this part right here was the scenario number one, socially divided. This was the Democrats' plan. And this would have actually turned us into a third world country, and it even kind of states that in here. But as we go down, socially divided, um, um, this has China's brutal nationalism and displacement of the United States as the world's number one superpower. China's leaders leverage strengths of China's controlled economy to displace American political and cultural influence and economic connections in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. As you can tell, we're definitely taking care of the Latin American problem. Okay, so uh, yeah, basically it talks about how China would have like overtaken us economically, and then the United States society would have been deeply divided on social and political issues, and the world watches as the government stumbles from crisis to crisis. Um, so you got that. While you still see some remains of this, um, this is going to be taken care of, I believe, soon. Right here. I don't think. I think here soon, especially when the Great Uniter comes, I don't think we're going to be socially divided anymore, and I think that that gap is closing too. Um, the main thing has to do. Let's hope we're not on this because the whole thing about switching back and forth between Democrats and Republicans is starting to get ridiculous. But the main key thing in here is, especially economic wise, is the Democrats want like very good energy renewables to eliminate hydrocarbons, but this strategy doesn't work because everything's not developed enough. And it talks about that right here and right here. Well, no. Whoops. Crap. I accidentally hit the wrong button. Um, Here we go. So right here, okay, see, it says, while China has the largest economy in the world and is growing faster than the U.S., China's economy is slowing down because of energy supply problems. Okay? Um, it would have caused an electrification of the power grid worldwide, um, and enabled by enormous investments in China and India in nuclear energy, solar, wind, and battery technology. However, the electrification is expensive and not smooth. Power outages are frequent. Energy security and cost remain significant problems throughout the scenario. And this leads economies to go back to hydrocarbons to sustain economic growth. Okay? And, another key thing right here is the United States economy by 2050 no longer outperforms other advanced economies, and the US standard of living is level with the EU standard of living, not in the present moment, but by 2050. Poverty levels in the country have declined, but the percent of households receiving federal assistance has grown from about 6% to 12%. I would say more. Unemployment is running high. See, how can you say that the economy is or poverty levels have declined, but unemployment is high, and life expectancy in the country are below those of most EU countries. So this right here, the socially divided, is the Democrats' plan, and that's probably the worst plan because it essentially turns us into a third world country. And that's what they wanted to do. And I would say this paper kind of maybe lied a little bit there at the end, because poverty levels declining and unemployment is running high and life expectancy is low just doesn't make sense. Unless you got like almost all of the population on some kind of government assistance. And that's not where the American people want to be. We don't want to be in reliance of the government. Okay, so now this is the one that I see actually happening. This is where we're switching to. We were on socially divided and we're switching to security united. And you can tell that by the whole thing with ICE and the illegal aliens, border security, and all this stuff. I mean, they even say that we need to secure things. That's why we're going after Greenland. That's why we did what we did in Venezuela. It all revolves around security. And as I said, the signature event is this global depression that's coming. Probably it could be hitting, but it begins this year and it goes to 2035, brought on by China's collapsing economy. So you need to watch out for that. And also India's, because it goes from China to India and it's in here. Okay. So it talks about early in this scenario, people were doing what they stated above with, trying to decarbonize the world and create these new, basically, systems like solar and wind. But it's not working, and we catch it because power outages were once again becoming frequent in advanced economies because of insufficient investment in renewable energy and electricity transmission line capabilities. Plus, there's also quantum computers and how much energy that they need. So that's not the case. And um, so we should start to see here soon. I think it's going to happen after the 2026 election. But we're going to start seeing the Democrats and Republicans start working together. And I would probably bet that that happens after the 2026 election. We need the Republicans to really win that because we need to show the Democrats that we don't believe in their idea anymore. Okay, so in this, the world descends into a depression in 2026. China's economy and India's economy, okay, were hit hard by the depression, while the U.S. suffered the least among the major economies. Okay, that's what Trump's trying to do right now. He's ensuring that we're trying to be safe. And I think we suffer for maybe about 2 years. And that's in GDP growth. It may not be individually. Okay, so because it talks about that right now. Now, the U.S. society quickly united on the issues of the economy, security, and the China threat, which I think we're going to start seeing, especially when it comes to 2026. And both Democrats and Republicans propose to cut federal spending across the board, suspend all but essential health, safety, and environmental regulations. We're kind of waiting on that. And infrastructure projects, but expanded payments to the unemployed. Okay? So we might be seeing a big significant downfall in jobs. And then right here, after 2 years of negative growth, the U.S. economy begins to recover. Okay, the total U.S. federal government spending remains about 25% of the GDP from 2026 to 2050. Now, here's what's interesting when we're talking about the energy. The global depression right now, what we're fixing to go through, results in world energy consumption decreasing. So even though everything's all about getting those hydrocarbons back, it's this push to, this depression that's coming is going to drop global consumption. And this is going to lead to new innovations in energy, because it's going to end up increasing renewable energy innovation. They didn't really put that in there. Innovation and generation. Because there's going to be some new energy technology that's going to be coming out. And this is actually how the world almost achieves its net goal of net zero through CO2 emissions. And I know that's like the oddest thing, that we're going after oil and all that right now, but it's just a temporary, it's just something temporary until we get these new technologies up and running. And we're going to have like a very different electrical system. So, and the United States stays the #1 superpower, and continues to have a strong military presence in the Western Pacific. American multinationals have decoupled their supply chains from China, and we're starting to see that. America reigns supreme in digital technology development. We're seeing that China's economy doesn't keep pace with us. It is beginning to grow again. Amid the Depression, China had affirmed the objective to unite peacefully with Taiwan. However, a new generation of China leaders is emerging that is nationalistic and bellicose. Okay, so in other words, we're talking about this is the path for the CCP to finally fall. And this is what those documents that I read back in 1998 echoed. Okay? And we're going to get into a little bit of that, what I'm fixing to talk about, because I made a few hiccups. Now, the one thing I want you to know before I go into these 1998 documents was and I go over this in one of the episodes. I'm going over episode 73. I'm not doing the whole thing, just portions of it. It was episode 73 and episode 99, and I'll leave the link to those descriptions, but I'm also going to show a few things on X right now. So I finally figured out that the documents that I read back in 1998 were actually going to appear in an upcoming novel, is what my assumption is soon, because now that I began writing novels and remembering reading those documents in 1998, that was my writing. The way how I aligned that was definitely my writing. So I'm gonna write a future novel that really goes over all this in big detail, and I'm kind of getting to some of those parts. Um, but yeah, yeah. But that's one of the final realizations I had, and now I understand about the miscommunication, like where I went wrong, how I didn't really, how I got, because in the documents there seemed to be some kind of confusion around 2020 and 2024, and that was my fucking confusion. That wasn't the author of the well, it was the author of the documents, because the author of the documents was me. And yes, I was confused with the 2020 and the 2024 time frame. And that's why I'm trying to set this straight here. So let's get into these few things right now before I get into this, because these are going to kind of like echo in the documents. We're seeing a change. We're seeing things begin to turn, and you're starting to see the truth, or I would say most of the truth. Okay, so here's one of the things that's changing the whole narrative, Klaus Schwab with his pinky finger. Um, but he's kind of admitting that they're losing control over things, okay? And I'll leave the link to this too. If you want to watch the video, I'm not going to play this video, but the elites are now forced to think about how to create an entirely new narrative, okay? So these are things that I said would happen to where we'd start to see a change, and we're beginning to see that change. And here's another thing I talked about. I'm pretty sure Brian and I talked about it, but the podcast that he did back in the day doesn't necessarily have transcripts, and I don't have time to, at the moment, run through like hours of podcast material. Um, but basically, this this is what I've been trying to tell people, that Obama wasn't investigating Russia. He was running a treasonous political operation to undermine Trump and protect Obama's own regime. And Tulsi Gabbard has come into this. And I'm really thinking that she might be the great uniter, but I'm not quite sure yet. I gotta wait for time to unfold everything. You see how 2026 was the attempted overthrow and 2020 was a successful cover-up. Okay, and this is the moment where I got confused, because the documents stated that the election was stolen, and I thought that meant that um, things actually got reversed, but things didn't get reversed. But I made an assumption on the documents that I read back then. Okay? So, okay, so now let's go into the what I actually say. The first one is kind of bumpy a little bit. Um, I wasn't, um, I would say, like, my voice may not be that loud because I was first time doing a podcast and I was wearing a headset and I was trying to get everything working right, and it kind of goes in and out, but the second one's a lot more clear. So my apologies, but I will leave the link in the description to those podcasts. And next week I'll be doing the tobacco health thing, just to let everybody know. But here we go. All right, this is where we're at. Play. Well, I mean, they're a part of all that control system. Uh, uh, and we're fixing to go to war with China and Russia. And,
what do you think the war is going to be about? Just what do you think?
I don't know. I know that we know the next president.
Say it again.
It's the next president that does that. So it's hard to say.
According to the documents from '98.
Yes. And that's the person. Okay, so what I say here that you may have not heard very well was, okay, Trump's whole thing is going to be chaos. Now, he might end up bringing the Iran regime down, but he doesn't bring China and Russia down. And I don't think Russia switches sides just yet while Trump is in office, but they might. I think Russia switches sides with the Great Uniter, but I could be wrong on that because of the confusion that I had with the 2020 and 24 elections. My timing is a little off, and I'm trying to fix that. Um, but Russia's going to switch sides, and it's going to leave China by itself. And that's where things begin to get intense. Now, as you've seen, or I'm hoping you do see on my shorts, I've started to talk about business warfare. Now, I wasn't quite sure how this war was going to be fought because we're used to, like, World War II when we kind of talk about war. But this war, in the documents did state that it was a different kind of a war. And I didn't really quite know what that meant when I was 15 or back in 1998. And I don't remember the details quite of it, but I emphasize it as World War III. I'm not for sure if the documents actually said World War III, but with the countries involved and everything like that, to me it felt like it was World War III when I was reading it. But it did say that the battles were going to be like on different battlefields. And as I said, I didn't quite know what that meant. But business warfare is one of those new battlefields. Okay? So let's continue. It's not Trump. It's not from what I gather. From what I remember, the person when we saw the 2020 election over, party who lost, which at that time would be the Republicans, is supposed to be the party that wins in 2024. And so that great uniter should come from their party, but it's going to be a young person. Okay, so I was right about the flip in the election. The Democrats won 2020, the Republicans won 2024. But Trump is not the great uniter. The great uniter is young. And this is where I had some of the confusion because I thought Trump was going to go from 2020 to 2024. That part I got wrong. I forgot about the old man. The old man was in there. He got elected. But then the document said that the election was stolen. And so my assumption was, as I said before, my assumption was that we figured it out and everything got fixed. So I was actually confused on the presidency at that time. So
So the uniter might come in 2024.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, actually, you don't know, but the theory, the theory we're working with is.
Yeah, it should be 2024. Depending on, and this is where I got confused with everything, because the person stated that he didn't know if there were going to be elections in 2024, because that's when he talked about the most hated coming back, and the whole weird thing about that. And this is where I was really, really confused about the whole thing. But I'm seeing it in 2024. It could be 2028. Okay, you see how I brought up the confusion thing? And I want you guys to remember this is back in September 29th, 2022. Okay, so I brought up the confusion thing right there. So I just wanted to kind of like remind you of that. Alright? That I did notice that there could have been some confusion, but at that time I was kind of positive about 2024. But I ended up being wrong, and the great uniter is going to be elected in 2028.
And so the uniter's going to take us into war?
No, not necessarily. I don't know whether they will not want to go to war. They will try to hold off the most that they can, but something happens that
It's not like there's no choice but to. And Europe
To? To who?
to Russia. I mean, Russia controls them. They, you know, I mean, they rely on
Who
them.
do you think hit the pipeline?
We're gonna pause right there. So that's, you know, as you can see Europe falling, okay? Because China and Russia are definitely playing pretty hardball in there. And I was maybe wrong about the Russia part. I think it's China, because China has a lot more pull than Russia does in Europe right now. But Europe eventually does bounce back. But Europe's going to probably go through the greatest struggle of the Western nations, because you've already seen the invasion of Islam and everything like that. And so I'm going to maybe jump ahead 30 seconds here.
Either. I mean, in China, they kidnap people and take their organs out of them, everything.
Okay.
Really, that's... And this is going to be the worst period for us. Like, after 2024, after that election, things should get better.
Okay, I was wrong on that. It's not after 2024, but when things start getting really good for us is when the great uniter is elected, okay? So, Trump's presidency is going to be chaos because he's going to shake shit up. And it needs a good shaking for the great uniter to come in and clean things up.
Even if, let's just per se say Trump comes back. I don't know if he is or not. But let's just say that's... I have something on there about 2 different planets. And he's not going to be able to save the economy unless he switches to QFS. The only way that the United States is saved at this point is going back to a gold standard. And
That's true.
if they're not ready to implement that,
Or something like that.
I don't know anything about economics, but does that mean we would not be able to pay all of our debts? Or like,
well, that's to go into debt in the first place. And then, well, not that that is a bank that's private. So we're creating money, and we're also used as money because the United States government uses that as collateral to print more
I'm
money.
kind of skipping
No
it
matter
now.
what, it always has value. It's survived.
I'm looking
it's
for
indestructible.
certain things.
there'd be Medicare for all and then some, right? I guess.
Hold on. Okay, so that was all on 73 that I wanted to show you. If you want to listen to the whole thing, then you can, as I said, I'll leave the link. Okay, so this one we did on April 27th, 2023. So let's, I had it right here. So here we go. My voice is a lot clearer in this.
Pretty soon.
Any idea what the trigger is, or have we already experienced it?
We're kind of in the midst of it right now. At the end of this, because remember when I talked about that whole 1998 thing that happened to me?
Yeah, last time we spoke.
Yeah, I was thinking at the end of this, I'll kind of talk about like
you had some prophetic experience.
Yes, I'll talk about a little bit on that timeline. Like right now, for us, we're the United States is heading into dangerous territory. Very dangerous territory.
You can tell.
Economic collapse.
Economic collapse, the dollar collapse, hyperinflation. This is where I was talking about last time, and you can see it a lot more clearly now.
Yep.
I would say, to where we might be looking at $10, $20 gas, and then if that happens, because oil's the basis of setting all the other prices, really, because of shipping and everything like that.
So you're talking massive starvation, massive.
Possibly, because there's been things that have hit our food chain, our food supply too, and Ukraine.
Okay, as I'm seeing the scenario play right now, I think this depression for us might hit differently. I was thinking of a normal depression, but that's probably what's going to be happening to China. I think over here it's going to be high unemployment. I think prices might stay low, but even though prices are low, people still can't afford some things, or something happens with the tariffs and it skyrocket prices. I just remember seeing something about prices going up, but then when the prices started going up, new energy sources were starting to be developed that brings everything back to normal. And I'm not for sure if that's what the 2 year period where they're talking about in those documents that I went over the first time. I mean, like early in this episode or this video. Um, but something's gonna happen. And I feel like it's gonna begin in spring is when you're gonna notice it. Summer it's gonna get worse, and the fall is gonna get really bad. Um, and so I'm paying attention to some of those things right now, but it could hit from various ways. I mean, it could be because of the whole AI thing that not a lot of people have jobs, and that's messing with people's income. Um, there's a lot of various different scenarios on how this all could take place, but the document specifically talked about GDP growth. So, but let's get back into this.
And that is also one of the. I think right now they're the largest breadbasket in the world, and so war happening right there is just a bad thing.
Right, and
I'm talking
from what
about
little I've
Ukraine.
read, I've seen that it's mostly impacted Africa.
Hold on. Okay, so here's something key. Okay, I'm going back over the 1998 documents with Brian.
You're okay. You're okay.
Back to your story.
Where were we?
We don't like the section of the Republicans, right?
Yes, yes, and there is supposed to be see when the 2020 election, going back a little bit to that timeline that I talked about back then when I kind of read those things. It said after the 2020 election, it said the
You read
party.
those things years ago.
Yes.
Started, yes.
Yeah, like a little over 20 years ago. It said that the party that supposedly won the 2020 election, that party would go on to implode. And it said that the other party would rebuild. And it was the rebuilding of this party that would be the key to the future.
So that's where that comes in.
Yeah, and the way how that guy is, I could actually see him as the person who I was talking about before as the great uniter.
This is Mr. America First 2.0, Indian American Republican.
Yes. And I like what he has to say.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And the main reason I said this, I don't know who the Great Uniter is, but Vivek does have the description. It's supposed to be somebody who's young. Okay, that's one of the key things here. Okay? But let's go forward a little bit.
Yeah, because it has no value. The main commodities that have value.
I see why you opened up the way you did now.
Yes. And that's why I kind of look forward to more of a gold standard would be because
okay,
it
now
would
I'm going too
give
much
us that
into
wealth back.
what I imagine the economy is going toward. But it's not what I'm trying to get to. Okay, here we go. I'm getting more into the documents right here.
To make Putin and Z as if they're good guys.
Talking about the Q psyop.
Because of the war that's coming. There was no inclination that Russia and China were good. Well, I take that back. Russia's good, but not right now. That will happen some point in the future, just kind of like how World War II, if you run the parallel to that, you know what I'm talking about when they switched. There's supposed to be something along the lines of that happening. But so I would say for the whole thing that if Jassara is correct, then there could be a chance that we actually get some of that money that we paid into taxes and that we've lost. Uh, but we'll wait to see if that
Sorry, it's not
happens.
correct.
But that's a part of their whole thing is that
Not completely.
we've been exhausted so much. We don't even know it because it seems so normal to us to be in a system like this.
Right.
Because we don't know any other way.
We're the frogs in the boiling water.
Exactly. It's yeah.
Okay. Now let me. Think I'm wrapping that up, and I'm fixing to go into some major details. Okay, here we go.
Well, if finish anything else, but what do you think the future holds then? Obviously, it sounds like the future is good.
It
what do you
is.
think the future holds?
The future is ultimately good. And out of all this chaos, something beautiful will come about it. But the immediate future, like the summer and into the fall, it's going to be very, very tough on us. Because I think, from what I'm remembering correctly, I think they do impeach Biden, and the whole time that this whole Trump
I got that part wrong.
arrest and trials are going on,
It wasn't impeaching Biden. Biden kind of stepped down himself, and that was something I got confused in the documents. It wasn't Biden stepping down. It was basically the vice president running for election. That was something that I was looking for. I was looking to basically for something to happen to Biden. I thought he was going to get impeached. That's what I thought the documents were telling me at that time. And do remember I did read these like 20 plus years ago. And so I think I did a pretty good job of remembering things this far along. But that's kind of what this is talking about.
Same time that they're going to be doing the impeachment on Biden, which is going to make things more chaotic.
Right.
It was like when I was reading everything, before everything became good, it was like this huge storm of chaos just happened to the United States all at once.
Why? Why do you think why?
It's the negativity. That's why I tell people just the more the negativity, the more awful things happen.
So let me ask you this.
It's always
you sound like you sound really well put together and credible. So let me ask you this: do you think is this just a master plan? Like
yes. It kind of goes with the theory of individuation, and it's individuation.
Hold on. I'm going off into things that aren't needed. Okay. Let's get back to here.
That's what I saw that happens.
last question for you. Sorry.
Yes.
Where do you think the World War III? What do you think the next development is? It's a ridiculous question, but
No.
crystal ball. Where do you think the battle will heat up?
See, that's a tricky question because there's something that's about to happen that confused the person who's doing it that I think has a possibility but may not have a possibility. I'm not for sure because everything's so much thrown up in the air. But see, this was the weird part. When everything was all said and done, I remember the person, I don't know, he made it sound like at the end of all this, whatever it is, that Donald Trump just got reinstated into the presidency. And I was like, but he didn't say Donald Trump.
Right.
He said the most hated.
Right.
He said the most hated.
This is the confusion part that I had where I was trying to figure things out.
And I'm like, okay. And you can kind of start to see maybe some of that ground being laid with the whole election thing, what they're coming out with on that. But
this is why I brought up Obama.
He stated that he goes, I'm not sure if there's an election in 2024
or just a reinstatement,
or if it gets delayed until a later date because of this. And I remember that Yeah, I remember that so vividly. And he
20 years
went
ago.
he went ahead with 2024. Yeah, yeah, 20 years ago. And he went ahead with 2024. So let's just say 2024 happens. Right now, the way how things are looking, more than likely, let's just say he gets reelected.
Right.
He just he there's some kind of halt to all of that. It doesn't really happen until the great uniter comes. For some reason, whatever it is, these people are scared of Trump.
Right.
And that's, well, I guess, my perspective. I don't know
So
what
maybe
it,
like the great uniter who might be Vivek, comes in and somehow reinstates Trump or something like that. I don't know. Not that
I
he
don't.
could, but
Yeah, I don't know, but all I know is that the Great Uniter happened after Trump. Um, and it
or the
definitely,
most hated.
yeah, the
Which
most
is
hated. And it had to at least happen at least in the year 2024 or after. So let's just say for some reason, if it doesn't happen, like let's just say that nothing happens. Um, let's just say we go on to the
Okay, I got that part wrong. Donald Trump was elected again, and now we're seeing everything finish out, and the next president is the Great Uniter.
2024 election, then whoever is that president is going to have to deal with World War III. If Trump for some reason gets reinstated, then we probably have a few years delay until World War III. Or it might be going on in the background, but we don't get
Is
involved
it World
in
War III? Is that the great uniter?
The Great Uniter is the one who leads us through World War
I
III.
see.
Yeah,
I see. Gotcha. Okay.
but
got it.
but it might happen a little bit outside, but we don't really get involved in it until that person comes, and he is the person who leads us through that, and that
We're
person
gonna have a
is
draft.
not the most hated.
Right. Good.
I don't know. To be honest, it could be a huge. I mean, China has machine guns on legs, so who knows how this war is going to be fought.
Right. Right.
And,
Well, I just hope they don't cut off my internet.
yeah, yeah, no, I
My
agree
food
with you on
supply.
that. Yeah.
Cody, wow, this was fantastic. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah. No,
All
I
right.
really, I can't wait to re-listen to it or listen to it, and because I really feel like I learned something about financial history. I think you've explained it really well. So thank
Okay,
you
good. Yeah,
very
that
much.
was one thing I wanted to.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. That was just me, me on Brian's show, just trying to hammer and figure things out. And he was right in a way. Maybe I didn't remember all of it quite right. But, um, but now I, like, really understand. Man, I think I'd been on there another time, and then another time after that. I might look at those podcasts because I'm pretty sure I went into the whole Obama thing with him. Um, but that's why I also brought up what Tulsi Gabbard said about the whole election thing, was in the documents, that Obama was the basic ringleader on that. I think it was also influenced by Joe Biden when he had some kind of common sense. Um, but I'm gonna leave that for here for now, because we've been going a long time, and so next week, um, on Wednesday, it'll be health and tobacco. All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one and a positive one. And hello, everybody. This has been a 1998 Jester production. And I will see you all next Wednesday, because that's the new day. The day of Mercury. Alright. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.